They were 56. 56 ordinary men, lawyers, merchants, farmers, doctors, who had everything to lose. Comfortable homes, prosperous businesses, families they cherished. They were not wild-eyed radicals chasing glory. They were men of property and standing, the kind who had built lives worth keeping. And yet, on that summer day in 1776, they stepped forward and signed their names to a document that could, and very nearly did, cost them all of it. Benjamin Franklin looked around the room and spoke the truth that hung heavy in the air. We must all hang together, or assuredly we shall all hang separately. John Hancock didn't flinch. He signed his name so large that King George could read it without his spectacles. Bold, defiant, final, and then the British came for them. 12 had their homes burned to the ground. 17 lost everything they owned. 5 were captured and thrown into prison. Think of Carter Braxton of Virginia, one of the wealthiest men in the colonies. The British Navy swept his ships from the seas. He sold his home, his lands, his holdings to pay debts born of war. He died with almost nothing left but his name on that parchment. Francis Lewis of New York watched British troops destroy his estate. They seized his wife and cast her into a filthy prison. Months of cold, hunger, and cruelty broke her health. She never recovered. She died soon after her release, another casualty of a husband's signature. John Hart, the farmer from New Jersey, fled into the woods in the dead of winter as British and Hessian troops swept through. His farm was torched, his mill destroyed, his crops burned. He returned to find his wife had died while he hid, sick and alone in the hills. He never saw her again. He passed in 1779, broken in body and fortune. Abraham Clark of New Jersey had 2 sons in the Continental Army, both captured. Both were sent to the hellish prison ships in New York Harbor. The British offered Clark a devil's bargain. Recant your oath, swear loyalty to the king, and your boys go free. Clark looked them in the eye and said no. Not one of the 56 defected, not one broke, not one traded his honor for safety. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and every single one of them meant it. 250 years later, we walk on the ground they bled for. We speak freely because they refused to stay silent. We raise our children in a republic because they refused to kneel. So let us speak their names. Let us remember John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin and George Washington's fellow Virginians, the New Englanders and the Southern planters, the quiet farmers like John Hart, and the merchants like Francis Lewis. Let us remember Abraham Clark's steadfast refusal and Hancock's bold stroke. This Independence Day, do not let their sacrifice fade into mere fireworks and backyard barbecues. Honor them, not with empty words, but with lives that prove their gamble was worth it. Live as free people. Defend what they built. Teach your children the cost of liberty so they never take it for granted. Because freedom was never free. It was purchased by 56 men who knew exactly what they were risking and signed anyway. We must remember their names. We must honor their sacrifice, and we must prove ourselves worthy of it. Today, tomorrow, and for every generation that follows. Was